Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime, here at my next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2012 show episode review. This one's going to be for Season 3, Episode 19, Turtles in Time. So yeah, the show has finally decided to come back after like nearly 3 months without an episode. The break they took, I have no idea why they took a break, what the reason was it a production issue, or what, but I've said this a few times as we've taken breaks throughout this season, but this is probably the worst show I've ever watched in terms of just consistency of airing episodes, and it's really just messing up the kind of flow of this season, the little flow that it actually has. So I really hope that the show is just back until the end of this season now. We've got like 8 episodes to go or something like that. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. 7 episodes to go. So, you know, it doesn't seem like too big of an ask to to just have them be in a row, but it's this show, so I don't know what they're holding out for. Are they going to lead Season 3 directly into Season 4? It would make sense given the number of breaks they've had and that. Let's not forget, Season 3 of Turtles started the same day as Season 4 of Korra. Korra ended in like late November. At that time, Turtles had only aired like 6 episodes, and now it's been like 9 or so months or something like that since Korra has ended, and we still are like not at the end of this season. If it takes too long to air this season, like we have 7 episodes, if they air like an episode a week, we're getting close to a year between the start and end of this season, and that is a problem. So I hope they fix their issues now with this big long break, and I hope they're back just for the end of the season. So let's get into the episode, Turtles in Time. I have mixed feelings on this one because while in general I think it was a fun episode and it was like enjoyable, and like I like that it ended on a kind of a little bit of a cliffhanger and they're like making this a kind of two-parter time travel episode, I'm just kind of like, this is not the episode that the show needed at this point in time, from 2 perspectives. One, as an episode 19, given what had just happened before, this is not what was needed. As an episode coming back after a long break, it also wasn't what was needed. This kind of side plot that has no relation really to the main plot overall. So I'm sure we'll get some cool stuff in the next episode, and it seems to be other ninja clan focused, so we should get some fun stuff there. But the focus, in my opinion, right now should be on Karai, and I do appreciate that they had a few lines of dialogue at the start of this episode to somewhat address that the other turtles are kind of beginning to lose hope, whereas Leonardo remains strong, wants to actually still find her. So I'm just back and forth on this episode because it was, I think, enjoyable, because it was so different, and definitely up until the cliffhanger ending, I was really worried that what they were going to do was that they were going to kind of maybe waste isn't the best word, but just like use their time travel episode in a time that is not needed, because like the 2003 show made a big deal when they introduced time travel, and that became the focus of like a couple of the seasons towards the end of its run. Whereas this, like, I was a bit worried that they're just going to like, are they really going to introduce like time travel and the fact that introduce more of the crazy aspects of the TMNT world so easily and just be done in one episode? But thankfully they had that moment at the end where they set up that, okay, they got lost in the time stream and then were sent back to a place where they weren't meant to be, and now they're in Japan and they're surrounded by ninjas, and there's going to be some cool stuff next episode. But that doesn't really take away from the fact that it was an enjoyable episode. But again, I would have much preferred it to be a plot focused episode, especially it being the episode where we've just come back after a long break. And I looked at the list of kind of episodes coming up, and it seems that they're kind of going to do that thing again, where they're going to have a few random episodes that we not really addressing some stuff, and then towards the end of the season we're going to get back onto the plot. So we'll see how things go. But let's get into some specifics on the episode. So the main thing is just that they're messing around on the rooftop looking for Karai, and a time portal opens, and this girl called Rennet comes out, and she reveals she's like an assistant Time Lord, and has come back here to get the legendary Turtle Warriors' help to help her defeat this rogue Time Lord slash demon guy who isn't a Time Lord, Savanti Romero. And it was a cool interaction, like them getting to hear about the fact that in the future they do stuff that saves the world, and they become famous on a like worldwide galactic scale kind of thing. That was really cool, and just learning about, I suppose, how the world is in the future, in that there are like Time Lords, there are these kind of demon guys like Romero, and that the turtles become really famous. It was this kind of seemingly throwaway thing, but it's kind of set up that if they do have a lot of seasons of this show, that they could go some places where the turtles do something really big and are actually accepted by the whole world as being heroes and become famous. And that's like gotta be a cool thing, given how undercover they've had to be and how basically persecuted against they've been as kind of mutants. So there's definitely some kind of potential with just some of that setup that they've done here. And also you have this setup earlier on that like the turtles are aware that kind of Leonardo likes Karai, Donatello likes April, and then Mike is just like, no, I'll never fall for a girl, and then of course he falls for Rennet here, and that was just a fun little thing to give him in this episode. Like has the kind of turtle of focus in the episode that he was constantly trying to flirt with her, and she just kind of sees him as the cute one, and there's the whole weirdness around the fact that she technically is from the future, and so Mikey is actually really old from her perspective or something like that. So that was kind of just fun throughout the episode, and obviously she gives him the kiss on the cheek at the end, and that was nice. I assume at some point she will appear in the next episode just to kind of get the turtles out of their predicament. And if the show does take a turn in the future to become more about, time traveling, space or something like that, if they're ever forced to be in the future for a long time, she could become somewhat of a kind of main supporting character, but maybe that's expecting too much. Maybe she is just meant to be in this episode and a little bit in the next one. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes from here. I think what this episode has over a lot of the other episodes that have been avoiding the main plot is that it was so different than a lot of the other ones, where a lot of those are just, oh, there's this mutant going around, we have to take it out, and it's just the same as every other mutant episode, and they keep repeating the same stuff over and over. This, at the very least, was different in that we got to see the turtles in their costumes again, we got to see them in a new setting, in like medieval England and stuff like that, so you gotta, the animators got a lot more to do, and especially at the end in the kind of Romero's kind of time palace thing with all the cog visual effects were really cool, and that fight at the end was actually really well choreographed with all the kind of cogs and battle across them, and they're moving and then they stop and they're falling from different levels. So the fight was actually really kind of notable in this episode, because it was so different and the location was so unique. But in general, that's the kind of best thing about this episode, in that it was so different than, I suppose, the rest of the other filler episodes, and it could actually go somewhere, set up something really unique going into the future, and especially next episode, depending on where they go with the whole surrounded by ninjas thing, they could do something that does connect it to the actual main plot. So usually I'd be pretty harsh on these kind of unnecessary episodes that are just kind of filling up time. But this one actually seemed to be doing something notable. So I like that. And, they touch on, the fact that the main Time Lord is called, like, Lord Simultaneous and stuff like that. Maybe we'll get to see him in person. In this, he was kind of just basically made out to be a bit of a joke. Just doesn't know what's going on. Is just shouting for her to return and stuff like that. So, the only other thing to talk about, I suppose, is the villain, Savanti Romero. Sorry about that. He was interesting enough, but again, like, is he going to be in the next episode or not? Is he going to come back later on at some point? He just very much was just like, okay, villain. He has to be somewhat threatening to be a threat to, like, Time Lords, basically. And interesting design. He was powerful, but not the smartest guy. But he seemed to know what he was doing. The kind of time loop situations led to some pretty cool moments, just with regards to, like, the fighting and stuff like that. And then Rennet, I suppose, as a character, was I like that she wasn't just a time master. She's kind of in training, so she is really goofy. She's not used to handling that time staff, and she's constantly, like, twirling it around and dropping it. But at a base level, she is actually a pretty good fighter with the kind of time knuckle things that she has. That seems to be really powerful. So she was actually a really cool kind of supporting character to have in this episode. She has this kind of a goofy personality. She knows the turtles are kind of like heroes of legend, and is a really big fan of all of them, as shown when she arrives, and she's just like, the inventor Donatello and the cute one Mikey, and stuff like that. So I enjoy this episode a lot, but it's just some of the stuff surrounding this episode, just the fact that the show has been off the air for so long, and now it's come back with not the episode you necessarily wanted. But given that all of that stuff happened, it was actually a decent return to form for the series. So I'm actually quite excited for the next episode. So yeah, in the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on the episode. Your thoughts on just the break and what Nickelodeon's doing with this show. It really comes across like they're either trying to get the show cancelled by putting it on break so much, or they're just trying to make it so that it leads directly into season 4. I don't really know. Maybe some of you guys watching this follow the production on the show more closely and can tell me what's going on. But other than that, let me know your thoughts on my review, your own thoughts on the episode. But other than that, thanks for watching, and bye.